She survived a dog attack, starvation, dehydration, and kidney failure. That was only the beginning. This is the story of a cat who waited far too long for someone to truly care. Her name is Scrumbelina, and if you think you've seen a scrappy underdog story before, wait until you meet this girl. Scrumbelina's troubles began long before anyone who loves her today knew she existed. As a kitten, she was attacked by a dog, an injury so severe it damaged her eye and left a hole in the roof of her mouth. A rescue in Ohio took her in and performed emergency surgery to try to repair the damage. She was patched up and she was adopted into a new home on one condition, that she would likely need more medical care down the road since her palate might not be fully fixed. That follow-up care never happened. Instead, years later, her owners split up, and in the middle of their divorce, neither of them wanted to keep her. So she ended up posted for free on Facebook Marketplace like an old couch nobody had room for anymore. That's where Leah stepped in. She runs a rescue and gets messages about cats in need often. Something about this particular cat made her know immediately that she had to help. And the moment she actually picked Scrumbelina up, any hesitation disappeared. The cat pressed her face into her over and over, as if she'd been waiting her whole life for someone to hold her properly. It was immediately obvious that something was very wrong beneath all that affection. This wasn't just a scruffy, funny-looking cat with a permanent wink. This was a cat in crisis. At her very first vet visit, Scrumbelina weighed only 4 pounds, and her x-rays showed she had no body fat left at all. She was so malnourished that the vet team had to start her on something called a starvation protocol, slowly, carefully increasing her calories, because too much food too fast can actually be dangerous for a body that fragile. It's safe to say that this cat was literally starving to death. As if that wasn't enough, mealtimes were a struggle. The vet soon discovered the real reason behind her messy eating, a hole in her hard palate, likely the same injury from years earlier that had either been missed or simply never healed correctly. Every time she tried to eat, food would come right back out through her nose, sometimes so badly that it would get stuck and she couldn't stop sneezing. It was even worse with water. She would drink and it would come straight back up, which meant she'd essentially been unable to stay properly hydrated for who knows how long. Her previous home had only ever fed her dry food, which meant she had almost no way to get moisture into her body at all. That prolonged dehydration had taken its own toll. Blood work revealed she was in the early stages of kidney failure, damage that had been quietly building for what must have been a long time. Suddenly, this tiny cat needed a special kidney diet, daily medication, occasional fluids and supplements, all while her team was trying to carefully put weight back on her. The situation couldn't have looked much worse, and it would have been easy to feel hopeless. Instead, Leah and her team got to work, and so did an entire community of strangers who fell in love with this scrawny one-eyed cat and her ridiculous, unbothered little face. When word went out that Scrumbelina needed a CT scan and a surgical consult to see if her palate could finally be repaired properly at an estimated cost of $2,000, her supporters didn't hesitate. The entire amount was raised before she ever set paw in the specialist's office. At Metropolitan Veterinary Hospital, Scrumbelina showed up to her big appointment in great spirits, ready to be dramatic and adorable in equal measure. She was cleared for her CT scan, and soon after, a surgery date was set. The plan was almost cinematic in its structure. First, an overnight stay to get her settled, then a day of fluids to support her kidneys and prepare her body for what was ahead. Then, surgery day, the operation to finally fix her soft palate, the injury that had followed her for years. And finally, if all went well, she would come home. Her community fundraised the entire cost of her stay and procedure, deposit included. Scrumbelina underwent surgery, and everyone held their breath while waiting for news. Then came the call everyone was waiting for. She was out of surgery and she'd done great. When she came home, it truly felt like she was a different cat entirely. But if you know Scrumbelina by now, you know her story never goes quite according to plan. At her recheck appointment, the vet discovered that part of her incision had failed to heal. There had been roughly a 30% chance of that happening. And of course, poor Scrumbelina landed on the wrong side of those odds. So a second surgery was scheduled, a smaller follow-up procedure this time, and once again, her community showed up, fully funding it before she'd even had the chance to be nervous about it. In the meantime, more good news arrived. While she'd been in Ohio for her first surgery, her team ran additional testing and discovered she was dealing with a treatable respiratory infection, likely contributing to her congestion all along. A course of antibiotics later, and she was already looking brighter. Around the house, Scrumbelina doesn't exactly act like the other cats. She skips the litter box, she doesn't bother grooming herself, and honestly, the resident cats seem a little baffled by her entirely. What she does do, constantly, is seek out people. She wants to be held, she wants to be close, and she is, by every account, at her absolute happiest wrapped up in someone's arms. This cat is finally truly loved and cared for.
Hi.
At her most recent check-in, she tipped the scale at 5.7 pounds. So she is filling out, healing, and slowly turning into the cat she was always supposed to be. Officially, she is still listed as a foster. Unofficially, it is hard to imagine her going anywhere else. Leah grew deeply attached to this girl, who had been through so much yet had remained incredibly affectionate, never losing her trust in people despite all the reasons she had to. After everything she'd survived, Scrumbelina finally found the one thing that had eluded her all along: a loving home and someone to shower with all the love she'd carried inside her for so many years.